There's been so much happen this week, hasn't there? I mean, Kevin Rudd had his full Kath and Kim look at me moment today. We'll talk about that a whole lot more. But the big telling question for me right now is where's the roadmap out of this big control that government seems to have in our lives, every aspect of our lives, our traditions? All of it's been neutered by boffins. Every time you turn around, there's some other extension of the control period, all because of the coronavirus. COVID-19 is morphing into COVID-21 and causing us an ongoing set of grief. To my mind, the fact that Queensland Health is now making a decision on whether Anzac Day can have marches in Brisbane kind of says it all. Meanwhile, in Canberra, we have seen examples this week of a number of security sellouts. Parliament House, where the security system there has failed a woman, and indeed a series of ministers, a Prime Minister, and indeed the entire Parliament, the reputation of it. We've also seen security sell out when it comes to our defence secrets now being housed by a company in part owned by the Chinese government. Our taxation records, exactly the same thing. Company records, our ASIC records, unbelievable. And China is not our friend. We talk about this on the program here, not because we're picking on Chinese people, but the Communist Party regime in Beijing. But all of this seems to have escaped the boffins in Canberra. I know that there's heavy influence of Chinese government-owned organisations that are buying into Hollywood. They're producing so many of the movies now. Any wonder the woke in the west coast of America are so hot to trot about putting down countries like ours. And of course, high tech, well, Facebook needs to explain exactly what their relationship is with the Chinese communists. You couldn't have picked it better, the way in which they have tried to destroy us this week. But of course, the free world around the world seems to be now rallying and backing Australia. The government needs to adopt a Fortress Australia approach. Facebook is the second or third largest populated country in the world. Mark Zuckerberg believes he's the head of state of a nation. And all of us who are on Facebook are his constituents. We don't get to vote for him, but he's in charge. Australia right now needs to protect itself first and foremost. The government needs a vision on key infrastructure. We've been talking about this the last few years, and I'm not going to walk away from it. Our power and the way we generate it, our water and where we get it from, how we store it, how we distribute it, our regions. We just can't make decisions anytime, anywhere, anymore in this country. All of the activity seems to be driven by process. There's a form, there's a fee, there's a rule, there's a regulation, much of it reflecting what the international world tells us we can and can't do in our own country. We're admiring problems. We're managing our decline. There's a general betrayal of our farmers and other productive people in our country. The entrepreneurial class can't get a start. We need to have a long and hard think about where we stand and where we want to be 25 years from now, but it's not happening. Then we turn to the so-called greatest free country in the world, the United States. And this week, reports of President Joe Biden and his big fail when it came to China, essentially giving the Chinese Communist Party a leave pass on their human rights violations against the Uyghurs, against the Falun Gong, against Catholics, against a whole bunch of other people, because Biden essentially is saying they're of a different culture, so we should cut them some slack. Well, obviously, UN officials, people involved in the climate change debate, are prepared to give them the same kind of approach when it comes to pollution. China is currently building 129 coal-fired power stations. You hear in Australia those same rules that they say China can break, say we can't even build one. Any wonder, Prime Minister, your quiet Australians are getting very fed up and want some real action.